What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today, on the table in front of us is the replacement for the Strider SNG that I did not love. Now, I told you that knife was never going to be for me, so I went out and found something that is very much for me. What are we looking at? This is the ADV Mega Butcher. And this is my kind of knife. Now, Andre de Villiers makes a number of knives. I have one other. This is the Pathfinder. This is a big knife. This really lives up to the name Mega. This thing is, well, this is just a gorgeous knife. This is what inspired me to seek another one of his knives instead of hanging on to the Strider SNG. So let's talk about this. This is 10 inches of S35 VN and titanium. It is running on bearings. They made these, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to pick this up or not. They made these back in 2015. It's a little worn out. This one's got some wear on it, but I like the way it looks. It did come blacked out, and since then, it's clearly seen some use, but I love the way this thing looks. Anyway, sorry, this is 4¼ inches of cutting surface. It is 4½ inches of S35 VN. As I said, it is 10 inches overall. It weighs 8.6 ounces. It fits in my hand like a sword. The action is just stellar. You can thumb flick it with that thumb disc. Of course, the flipper works without fail. It showed up to my house with dead-on blade centering. Now, someone who's owned it before me has put a little more of a relief in here for the lock bar. One of the complaints of this knife, I guess, when it came out was that the lock bar and the show side were just about the same level. So it wasn't that great to get to it. So somewhere in this thing's life, now this has had a number of owners, somebody did a little work right here, but I got to tell you, the work is perfect. It does not look at all unstock or unfactory, and I am totally okay with that. So let's do some size comparisons, just for the sake of doing it. Once again, here is the Andre de Villiers Pathfinder. As you can see, the Mega Butcher is a lot more knife than that. Just for giggles, here is the here is the Rat Model 1. This is what most people consider to be a normal-sized pocket knife. As you can see, sorry, I love this thing. I'm stupid happy about it. As you can see, the Mega Butcher is monstrous by comparison. Here is another big knife. This is my Artisan Proponent. Now, the Proponent is a huge knife, and it's huge in a couple of ways. It's considerably thicker through the handle than the Butcher. It's heavier than the Butcher by a little bit. This is 8.6 ounces. I think this is just about 10 ounces. Andre de Villiers makes fantastic knives. They make a mini version of this. They make a standard size version of this. His traditional butchers are still available. The Mega Butchers, are hard to come by. And after I let go of the SNG, I knew I wanted to do something special. And this absolutely counts as that something special. I am just stupid happy that this thing is in the collection. For most people, this probably isn't very pocketable with, 4¼ inches, 4½ inches of S35 VN. The overall length when closed is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 inches long. But I've had this thing in the pocket all morning since it showed up in the mail, and it rides my pocket exceptionally well. Mind you, again, I'm a big guy, big pants, big pockets. This is not one that women carry knives, for instance, is going to be able to slide into the almost pockets that women's pants have. This isn't going to wear in slacks, but I'll tell you, in jeans or anything, my hiking pants that have got, slightly thicker material, this thing is awesome. It's perfect. And since it actually weighs less than this, I'm used to carrying something about that size. So I guess I collect Andre de Villiers knives now. That actually makes me really happy. I'm always looking for a new direction to go. Lately, my focus has been on my ZTs and, of course, on Chavez knives. But these Well, I think that I will continue to keep my eyes out for new and interesting models to pick up. I probably will never get one new. These things are exceptionally expensive, but on the secondary market, they're still very expensive, but they're more reasonable. And by which I mean you can pick them up for the cost of a couple of Benchmades or a couple of good Kaisers. And since I tend to move those in and out of the collection, there might be funds to add some of these as we go. I love this thing. Well, I love both these things. But that's knife collecting, right? You find a style or a maker or a size that grabs your attention and grabs your eye, and then you are suddenly open to whatever else it is that they have produced. Andre de Villiers makes knives that I love. There's some stuff online about him that we're not going to get into. Here's what I know. I know that when I got this one, I reached out to him, and he was responsive and interested and super cool to talk to. And that, to me, is enough. Whatever else has gone on in that dude's history in the knife community, it hasn't run into me. And so far, everything that I have interacted with him on has been smooth sailing. So that's my take. Your experience may vary, of course. So what does this mean? Well, it means that I'm likely going to look for one of the mini butchers or one of his tack butchers, because now I would like to have something that sort of sits in the middle or is even a little smaller than this one to sort of round out the collection. This thing is so big, and yet I have knives that weigh more, and so it's going to spend a lot of time in the pocket. The edge on this, now I know this thing has had a couple of previous owners. Look, this is not a razor blade, despite how it looks. It is thick behind the edge, and I don't care. I don't do stuff with my knives that requires a ton of razor blade sharp. If it'll open packages and cut food, cut string and rope, do the things that I need it to do, it is more than enough edge for me. This absolutely qualifies. This one does have more of a razor's edge on it, but it is a thinner piece of S35 VN. Am I suggesting that you run out and get one of these? Well, if your knife collection has reached a place where, $400 to $500 range isn't too much money for you, then yeah, I never would have afforded this knife, particularly this one, if I hadn't had won that SNG in a raffle and then had that funds after that. I'm not in a place where I can buy, $500 knives without blinking. That would be a huge, huge hit to me. But some of you out there are in a place where you can spend that kind of money on knives, and it's not a huge hit to you. And so I recommend the Andre de Villiers knives. I now have 2 of them, as I keep happily showing you, and they're awesome. They really are. If you've got bigger hands and like bigger knives, man, this is the way to go. Now, what are some things I don't love? We might as well lay that out. Well, this clip is kind of cheap, really, for such a big and expensive knife. I'm not loving it. They did do some stuff that's very nice. It's got a little bit of jimping right here. I have no idea why, but that's kind of fun. It has plenty of lift, so it will go into deep, heavy pockets very comfortably. And because of this ramp and that it is just stamped, man, this thing just slides in and out of pants pockets easily. It really is smooth. What else don't I love? Well, that's about it. I'm not a huge fan of black stonewash blades, but this one's got wear on it in such a way that I just really love it. I kind of wish they'd left the flipper off and just gone with the thumb disc. I think that it would have made the knife considerably cleaner in appearance. And this thumb disc, oops, well, when you're not on camera, it works every single time. Beyond that, I love everything about this knife. It is a beautiful beast of a knife. Mine says ADV Tack Butcher 2015, which is, again, when these were made. This is a bit of a collector's item at this point. Doesn't matter. I'm going to carry the crap out of it. That SNG, the Strider, was a wonderful knife. It was. It just wasn't my knife. This and this, and this, these are my knives. No question. Now, why do I keep showing you the Artisan? Well, the Artisan is on par in many ways with the Andre de Villiers knives, except it's mass-produced and it's about $200. So you can get a huge fat chunk of stylish S35 VN and all titanium design for a couple of $100, or you can get into the designer's name and a very particular style for about twice that or a little more. I will continue to look for these. I will continue to look for deals on these and hopefully add some more to the collection. But you can pick up big, beautiful knives for not this much money. That SNG was never going to be my knife. I've said that a few times already in this video. This, in the just short time that I've had it, I mean, it arrived this morning, this is my knife. Now, mind you, it's not that good for gas station-y because it doesn't have much of a tip because it's got this sheep's foot on it and it is a cleaver design. But that don't matter. You pull this thing out and it is a conversation starter or argument stopper, depending on how you want to look at it. Well, I guess that's it. I just wanted to share this with you. I'm really clearly excited. I'll give it some pocket time, use it, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it again later on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I love sharing stuff like this with you guys. If you have any questions about the Andre de Villiers knives or any of the knives, the Artisans, or anything that you have seen on the channel recently, feel free to ask in the comments. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I'd love to have you here on a regular basis. I guess that's about it for now. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.